Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. It's Saturday, it means it's weekend. But before enjoying the weekend, we have two big topics to tackle in today's video. The first one, trying to answer what on earth is the position of Timothy Weah, Beppe. Where is he playing? Right back, left back, center forward. Is he playing as a right wing back or as a right winger? 4-3-3, 3-5-2. Where will Allegri play him? I tried through some investigations, through some beautiful threads on Twitter, speaking with some people that observed him a bit closer, to give you an answer today where he can play at his best. And then we'll switch towards the other big question since yesterday evening, since the words of Gianluca Di Marzio, the possibility of Rabiot extending one more year with Juve. I know that it's a controversial topic. Yesterday, a lot of people were pissed off with that news. Some other people said that it was a great news. What is the logic behind that choice of Juve? Is it logic to do it? Is it a good one to do? I will try to give you my honest opinion about that. So two big topics that we have to cover. But first of all, let's start with some flash news. The first one is the birthday of Federico Gatti today. So happy birthday to Federico Gatti. I told you there are two things that I'm asking for this mercato. First one, that we are trying to find really functional players for the method of Juve, for the idea of football of Juventus. Players that will not play out of position, but really functionality. And then the second one is having players that are really putting the attributes on the field. And who better than Federico Gatti showed us that last season, that DNA that it has deep inside. So Federico Gatti, more of them, absolutely more of them. Can we say the same for Leandro Paredes? Absolutely not. And that's probably also what makes sure that yesterday Juventus said goodbye to Leandro Paredes. Leandro, that shows also how many times I need to say his word last season. Not a lot. When Leandro Paredes will go back to PSG, what is his future? I don't know, I don't care. Thank you for choosing last season Juve, because it's always an honor that people are choosing Juve over other teams. But then, more than that, not a lot. Anyway, yesterday Alessandro Del Piero was in the Allianz Stadium. No, guys, he's not becoming the vice president. Not at the moment in negotiation to become a manager of Juve. Why was he there? Because there was a sponsored event with some people that won. The fact that they will be guided through the Allianz Stadium with Del Piero. But it's always beautiful to see Alessandro Del Piero at home. Yesterday, now a bit more personal news. We reached 26,000 Juventini on the channel. Thank you, guys. I don't know what else to say. Except of the fact that now the target, of course, is 30,000 as fast as possible. Yesterday, we reached 8 consecutive days of minimum 500 likes. Again, yesterday, the video of Weah reached 678 as we speak. Grazie, really. Let's try to do, of course, 8 consecutive days. Let's not stop the streak of 500 minimum likes per video, but that depends, of course, on you. So, maximum of likes, subscribe to the channel. Now we start with Tutto Sport, that is speaking about Juve con Weah ritorni a volare. Juventus with Weah, you are going back to fly. Beautiful, flying. I love that. Why not? Because if there was something that Juventus was missing in the last few seasons, was velocity, was intensity, was having wingers, right backs, wingers, right wingers, whatever, but people on the wings that were able to fly. We were missing it because we know it. Cuadrado was already since a few seasons in a decreasing phase of his career. He didn't have that same velocity, that same dribble, that same skill that Cuadrado made some of us fall in love with. Timothy Weah could be potentially a new kind of Cuadrado, but still a bit diverse than Cuadrado. Maybe more a George Finidi George, that ex-Ajax player, I don't know if you remember. Anyway, this is how the experts are describing a bit George Weah. He said about pressure, because some of you were saying, hey, we'll maybe have a lot of pressure in Italy wearing the name of his father, Weah. He said it. The name is scary, yes, but not for me, for the other ones. I just want to precise, it's not that he's arrogant, but he's quite confident about his name. Now, there is Oscar Damiani, ex-agent of the player, but also an expert of Ligue 1, a scout there, that was explaining his skills. He said rapidity, velocity, being fast, which Juventus really is in need of, but also technique. Attenzione, it's not Anthony from Manchester United, it's not Ronaldinho. Yesterday I watched a beautiful video of Colo99 It was not a video of 12 minutes with goals, highlights, skills, whatever. It was a video of 5 minutes where you could already see some beautiful things. So he has the technique and he's really fast. Two things, but he has much more than that. One of the things is versatility. It's a player that can be adapted in diverse roles. That could be something great, a benefit, but also sometimes a threat. So we'll try to speak about the 3 different roles that he can play. Because Gazzetta is saying you pay 1, you get 3. What are the roles? Gazzetta and Tuttosport are going towards 2 of them. That 3-5-2 that Juventus played recently, where we see him as a right wing back, there on the right side, and then in a 4-3-3 as a right winger. Both of the papers are talking about these 2. I will then speak more precisely about the right back position through some statements of people that really coached him and know him. But first, let's speak about these 2 positions and other skills and maybe also a big problem that he has. The first one is that is fast, and we already tackled that. But also it's a player that is able to find spaces in depth. A really tactical and intelligent player that when he sees the spaces, is able, thanks to his velocity, to go into it. Without the ball, asking for it, and he's able to go towards it. Without the ball, but also with the ball. And that's another beautiful skills of Timothy Weah. The fact that he's able to carry the ball for at least 30 meters. How many of our players were missing that possibility? Taking the ball and going up. Not only in counter-attack, but also just to say, we have our average block that is quite low. Let's try to go higher on the field with that ball and with all of our line, which is not bad for Juventus. It's a player that unfortunately it's not risking too much, which could in a sense be good. It's really safe when he's passing the ball, so it's always looking for the more safe choice. Also when he's really high on the field, if he needs to cross, instead of going with long crosses in the box to try to find the header of a player, of the center forward, he prefers to find the easy solution, which of course is improving and increasing his pass accuracy, but on the other hand it's not taking a lot of risk. So it can be a good one and also a -1. But he's really strong in low crosses, which is great. So it needs to improve the high crosses, so the cross is a bit higher, but the low ones are mastered. Then the big problem that he has, and probably a problem that will accumulate with the one that we already have at Juve, he's absolutely not clinical for a player. A lot of the time he's able to create himself some really dangerous actions, but then he's there in front of the goal and he's taking the bad or the wrong decision. Reminding us a midfielder that is really great, and he's called Miretti. Not the same position, but probably one of the same flaws. That's something that he really needs to improve, because he's a player that has more than 2 goals a season. So these are the skills. I took the pictures of my friend Amy scouting. Grazie Amy per il lavoro fatto. And now we go towards the right back position that I told you that I wanted to go a bit more precisely in, through the words of the people that put him in that position, but also coached him and observed him. Paolo Fonseca, his coach in November 22, he said, with him as a right back, we win and we gain in aggression. It's true that he doesn't do a great defensive job yet. We are speaking about November 22. He has to learn, but his margins for improvement in this position are great. I like how he's playing. Then himself, November 22, in the beginning phase, he said, I have a lot to learn in defense. There are things that forwards aren't used to do. But with the help of José Fonte, Thiago Diallo, and Bafo Diakité, and the coach, I begin to understand. I want to continue work in both phases. February 2023, after the World Cup, because in the World Cup, USA played a bit more as a forward player, he came back playing as a right back. He said, I'm starting to get familiar with that role. Maybe I will continue playing in it. The coach trusts me. I am watching video of fullbacks like Marcelo. Not bad. I'm still learning defensively, but I think I've showed that I can play here. So we see already an evolution in that role from November 22 to February 23. Then Eric Winalda, US legend, and a lot of you that are always following the channel from US, thank you for that, ragazzi, in March 2023 said Weah is now a full back. Even if he played in the World Cup as a winger, it can be the best position for his career, and he likes to play in it too. He has accepted his defensive responsibility, and now he knows perfectly when to go on the attack. And we finish with the words of Thierry Henry, that knows him really well, but he really knows him really well. Thierry Henry said in March 2023, post Lens Lille, we are talking about a guy who plays in attack, right back or left back. Tactically, he is impressive. Certainly, we are not talking about Cafu, but Weah is intelligent and very good at making himself available to this squad. Ragazzi, words and thread reported by Alex Campanelli. Thank you, grazie Alex per il lavoro fatto. Ragazzi, it showed that it's a guy that is having an evolution in his roles, playing from the front and going back. I have some names in mind that did a bit that journey. I don't want to mention them too much, otherwise we will start comparing and we go crazy. Maybe some of you can guess who I'm thinking about, but it's a player that is still young, has that velocity. If we are looking at modern right and left backs, people that wants to go up and has that possibility, well, he could be potentially a good right back. I continue to say, but seriously, that Juventus needs to go in a 4-man defense. I heard yesterday Sky Sports and so on that are going with the confirmation of the 3-5-2 next year. I am not 100% sure yet. I don't want to go towards a 3-5-2. And if it's a 3-5-2, then it should be a real 3-5-2, an offensive 3-5-2, not a 5-3-1-1, because then we have a problem. Anyway, I still continue to think that maybe we can start with the 3-5-2, what we did in the past with Allegri, starting with what we did last year, to evolve towards a real standard basic 4-man defense, and Timothy Weah can find his luck in that position. Timothy Weah doesn't exclude Timothy Castagne. There are two players on transfer market with a value more than 2 million that are called Timothy. Well, both of them could possibly join Juventus. Timothy Castagne, again, there is an agreement with the player. He said yes, now we have to find an agreement with Leicester and start in also the talks, because we are not yet in big advanced talk with Leicester. We go towards the last big topic of today's video. I told you, Adrien Rabiot. Yesterday, Di Marzio said, c'è più fiducia. There is more trust, more confidence that Rabiot could potentially renew. If not, Milinkovic-Savic is ready. Then there were the words yesterday of the mother of Parisi that were speaking about her son. She was saying he's a Juventino. The father was a huge Juventino. At the moment, nothing is done yet, but I would love him to go to Juve, and the first shirt would be for the father, a dedication. Beautiful. But anyway, go back to Rabiot. There is trust. Lot of controversial talks. I tell you why I think most of Juventini are angry. And I will surprise you, I don't believe it's because of Rabiot. I believe it's because of Max Allegri being confirmed, that a lot of persons are still a lot frustrated, and secondly, because if Max had to stay, we were all expecting a revolution, because the team of the last 2 seasons were not offering great. So if the coach had to stay, we're at least expecting a revolution, new fresh air, a breath, and confirming players like probably Rabiot is bring us again to the past 2 seasons. We are still doubtful if it will be Rabiot of 22-23 that objectively was the best of Juventus last year, or will it be the Rabiot of the 3 first season? There is always that question mark. So I understand that a lot of people are frustrating to see Rabiot, but I would not blame only Rabiot. I would think that it's a context of not seeing fresh air, what I believe. Then, what I would have done, I would probably not have extended Rabiot, because also me wanted new names, fresh names, not necessarily Milinkovic-Savic, but you know that I would have loved having a Kefren Thuram, even if I know I am conscious of the fact that it's nearly impossible to even talk with Nice about Thuram, not the one that is going to Inter, Marcus, but with his brother Kefren. So I tried to start thinking logically, not to find excuses, but trying to understand why Rabiot. Why Rabiot? Because one more year he could have gone to whatever team. Then I know that on Twitter, on social media, they are saying, there were no offers. So because there are no offers, he's going to Juve. I can reassure you, he had a lot of offers from other clubs. Maybe not the one that is convincing him the most, let's be honest. Maybe if, I don't know, Manchester City would have given him 15 million euro, the choice would have been made already. But maybe he didn't receive the offer that he was expecting. Nevertheless, he received a lot of beautiful offers, even more than the salary that he's earning today at Juve. But probably he's looking for a comfort zone in a team that he knows perfectly, with a coach that he knows perfectly, a coach that was able to unlock him, and maybe from his side he's saying, you know what, I take the risk of staying one more year at Juve and then maybe leaving, or maybe, who knows, if Juventus is back in Champions League, even more extending. Guys, when I'm saying taking a risk, it is a risk that Rabiot is taking, because you know what it is. You play with Juve, you have one more year of contract, you have an ACL injury, hopefully it will not happen, and then nobody will take you. Juve will not renew you, and new teams will never take you with the salary that they are proposing now. So it's a risk. But what from the Juve side? So I'm thinking, the first thing that comes in mind is, if you extend Rabiot, that you like it or not, has been the best midfielder of Juventus last year, it's a 0-year deal, which makes that you are saving that money, because you don't have to spend 40 for a comparable midfielder. We know that he had his best season. You're giving continuity. He knows the club. He knows the coach. Juventus knows his great things, his strength, but also his weaknesses. We know him perfectly. Still 1 year of benefit in terms of his salary in that tax decree for foreigners. You know that we are paying always in Italy gross double what the players have net. If we continue with him, because it's a player that comes from outside of Italy, back then when he signed his contract, we can still benefit paying 50% of the taxes. So all these things are actually financially great. You don't have to invest to keep that money. You are still benefiting a high salary player that you are paying less gross for the club. And that's also a good one, continuity, and I told you everything. So I could potentially understanding. Would I accept it? Yes, only at one condition, that you are still bringing me another big player there in the midfield, or other position with better players, that some players that I'm hearing now linked to Juve. So if saving the cost of going for another midfielder and stopping with Rabiot can benefit Juventus as a whole, as a team, I would say, you know what, it was a smart choice from Juve. If not, I would think that it's a big problem, because you are not building with Rabiot the future. You are not giving fresh air, and you probably wasted 1 more year, and that could be a problem. So again, my first initial idea is stop with Rabiot. Thank you for that last fantastic year, but I can understand it if what you do later is showing me that it was a smart choice. These are my opinion about it. Then of course we'll have a lot of midfielders to sell, we know it. Kulusevski, that was not the real midfielder, already gone, but then we are speaking about Arthur. We are speaking about McKennie. There are some offers from McKennie. Even Roma is interested on loan, but Juventus should say no. Zakaria, offers from Premier League, Bournemouth, where Kluivert went, but also West Ham. Also Galatasaray in Turkey. There is Dortmund on the player. So Zakaria has the most offers from everyone. So that's a player that should leave Juventus. Probably Barrenechea on loan, Ranocchia on loan, or in a deal for another player. Miretti could possibly go on loan. So Alfredo Pedula said yesterday, even if Rabiot stays, Juventus will still go for another midfielder, which is not bad, because if I'm doing mathematics and I'm thinking with all the outgoing players on loan and sold in the midfield, you still keep only 5 players. Pogba, and what Pogba we still don't know, Locatelli, Fagioli, Rovella and Rabiot. 5 players is not enough. Anyway, this was it for me for the news of today. I try to give you as much as detailed information about Weah. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know where you think Weah could play the best. And if you are excited about Weah, oh, I didn't even tell you, that could possibly be presented at Juventus on Thursday, the 29th of June. Attenzione! Maximum of like. Grazie ragazzi, forza Juve.